And so even in the UK, the more, where, they're trying to get 50% of the population through the university sector. If that's the case, you'll have smarter, better educated, and slightly more irritable young people. So again, we need to make sure that we have employability and routes for them. But I think these are merging now. As an educator, therefore, we talk about curriculum and so forth, but actually there are mechanisms that we need to think about in terms of things like the CambridgePYTHON program, business plan competitions, awareness, interest, the linking with industry. We need to be much more open about trying to pull all these things together. So in industry nowadays, people talk about open innovation, collaboration, cooperation. Those are the sort of language we need to speak. Having understood all this, I suddenly see a new phenomenon on the horizon, which I think is really quite interesting. It's got nothing to do with academics or policymakers. It's got nothing to do with institutions. It's to do with journalists. God bless them. TV and media. They're just coming in from the side and going smack right across. A disruption coming our way. We don't know what to do about this stuff. All we can do is think, what's happening? So in the UK you have Dragon's Den and The Apprentice. I don't know if you've got similar things. Then of course you've got garbage like Big Brother. But even there, the 16-year-olds are watching that and thinking, oh, I'm learning all about human beings. But you've got dance programs, singing programs, cooking programs, house building programs, all sorts of things. They're all creating some level of aspiration. They're all operating from a somewhat intellectual perspective at a trivial level. But believe me, if you watch that in detail, and especially if you watch a program called Dragon's Den in detail, it is quite astonishing. At a peak time television viewing in the UK on BBC Two, you have a panel of 5 investors, the so-called dragons, sitting in a room, and entrepreneurs go and make a pitch for funding with their ideas. Some of them are really only for entertainment, I have to admit. But some of them are quite serious. But the key thing now is once you get past the brutality of the media, television, that it's entertainment, and you actually listen to the questions that these investors are asking, there's a whole business school there. And I have done that. I've sat through about 4 programs fully with my laptop on my knee, and as the entrepreneurs, as the angels are asking their questions, I've been typing these up and then thinking about what questions do I ask in class when I'm running a program, when I'm running a course. It's really, really educational. And for me to get into Web 2.0 and understand the internet, I've started a blog, so I now put these questions on the blog, and my students can see what I've been watching, which television program I've been watching, and see transferring. So in one evening, 3 million people watch this program. If you add up all the numbers of graduates who have been on an MBA program, it doesn't even come to 1 million over the last 100 years. So I'm not saying a TV program is the same as an MBA program at all, but the common sense applications, the tough questions that get asked, are being asked by television journalists and not by academics. And I think it's really fascinating development. If you don't already have such a program in Poland, talk to your TV company and start one to back up the CambridgePYTHON. I think it would be a major shift of culture, very inspirational for kids. Because they all talk about it in the schools the next day. So there we are. Meanwhile, the universities have been waking up with good reason. They need new forms of funding. They only get paid at the moment for students who come and sit on the class seats. We call it bums on seats. And they get money for research, some of which is good, and some of which you have to wonder which saint person gave money for this. But nonetheless, it's all for the good of mankind, I'm sure. Secondly, guess what? They're missing out on the fun. Academic life is tough. It's long-term rewards. By the time you get a paper out in a journal that nobody reads, and you get a pat on the back, and you get your professorship, in a tough environment, you're ready for retiring. And the salary is pretty pathetic. And actually, you can never sleep as an academic, because you take your work home with you, and it's bugging you, it's in your head all the time. And I've had people resign on me because they say, I can't sleep anymore, I just need a simple job. Academics are 24/7. Obsessive compulsive disorder. I'm joking. But unless you are really, really passionate about your subject, and the thing is, it's with you all the time, and it's exhausting, therefore, for some way. So where's the fun in that, in the end of the day? Whether or not you have a Ferrari, it doesn't matter. And actually, guess what? Society also is demanding much more from us. They're demanding not only that we should be interesting, but society is demanding that we should be relevant to their needs. And I think solving some of the big questions of society will actually produce better science, like climate change, like major pandemic diseases, like communication across cultures, etc., etc. Answering big questions gives us good science. So this map, you can just about see it. This is my attempt to show you that good science and good enterprise sit comfortably next to each other. There is only the lower quality universities who worry that the pursuit of enterprise will somehow degrade the academic scholarship. The best universities in the world seem to be right at the heart of an entrepreneurial ecosystem. So if you were to look at the Shanghai report of the university tables of the top 100 universities or so, and you just look down at the location of these universities. I just took the top 5 because it's easier and because Cambridge is in it. The top ones: Harvard, Berkeley, Stanford and MIT, and Cambridge. Now it so happens that 3 universities are in Cambridge. Cambridge University is in Cambridge, and MIT and Harvard are in Cambridge. That's a spin-out from Cambridge University, one of the 2 better spin-outs from Cambridge. And MIT and Stanford and Berkeley are in Silicon Valley. They answer big questions, they do good science, and that results in great entrepreneurial possibilities. And that's the lesson for me. And if you look at the hub of what's going on, for me as an Indian, I look at Bangalore and I see Bangalore as an amazing cluster. Those of you that have been there will know what I'm talking about. But that's because there's the Indian Institute of Science there. And there are physicists there, and there are astronomers there, and all sorts of things go on around that environment. So a good environment, academic environments, seem to be sitting comfortably. I don't know the correlation, the causal link yet, because I've been thinking about this for too short a period. But it's like smoking causes cancer. We didn't know what the causal link was for a long time. Bit by bit, the scientists discovered it. Maybe between us as a research community, we can find the answers to that. But certainly, I think in the question of which comes first, the chicken or the egg, the university is 800 years old, and the entrepreneurial cluster is not that old. So we know which comes first. So that's answered easily. So there we are. That's, I think, for me, some of the bigger picture stuff. Yes, explaining the success with a good university, good infrastructure, with policies and physical assets is one thing, but actually, let's not miss the real story, which is that of people. Camille, I don't know if you've shown this picture before, but I'm going to show it again, which is that the spin-out story of Cambridge is the story of serial entrepreneurs and scientist academics, entrepreneurs making things happen. And this story picks up from a gentleman who did his PhD in physics, a man called Hermann Hauser, who's an Austrian, who started a company called Acorn Computers, which is based on the world's first PC. As a direct result of that, there have been many other spin-outs from his particular cluster of companies. One of them is a gentleman called Andy Hopper, who I think came last year to the CambridgePYTHON program. So I won't go through the detail of it, just to show you how Hermann Hauser, who has started 62 companies, has become himself an incubator. Oops, let's stop on that. Put all of them, yeah. So I won't spend too much time on this, but if you look at the middle of the diagram, you find Acorn, then you find 2 names, Alex and Nico van Summeren. Those were 2 young men, brothers. Nico did a PhD at Cambridge and Alex left school at 16. And they both worked for Hermann Hauser. They both learned about high-tech entrepreneurship from him, and therefore they started a company called A&T, and then Encipher. Encipher is a very successful, it's listed on the alternative investment market, a bit like being listed on New Connect. Did very well. They're in their early 40s now. They both walk around in jeans, ponytail, the usual sort of techie entrepreneur thing, fast speaking and so on. If you go a little bit further north, you find the name of Andy Hopper. He worked with Hermann as well. He has started 12 companies. And when we talk to Andy Hopper and says, what's driving you? He says, well, basically my principle is to make microprocessors